So it's like you drink a massive bunch of caffeine. You have a pre-workout one day, you're drinking more water in the gym. Okay, when you Hello there, what's up YouTube? Stephen at CarterFitness and Nutrition. So in today's video, we will be talking about S23, which is a SARM, okay? But just before we start, can you please like and subscribe to our channel? Please obviously like the video and comment, okay? Because obviously it helps us out as much as possible. So, let's have a look at the S23, which is a SARM. So obviously it's a selective androgen receptor modulator. Now this is where it's selective to bones and tissue, obviously more selective towards the muscle rather than the rest of the body. Okay, so for example, it would be selective here to the bicep, right? But it won't be selective to your organs, and it won't be selective to other receptors around your body. Okay, so that is what these are designed for. All right, so obviously being a selective as a tissue receptor rather than a body overall impact on other hormones. So we are going to start with dosages. So how many should a man take of S23? So the recommended dosage for a man, obviously for athletic performance, okay, is 10 to 30 milligrams per day, okay, to the upper high advanced dosages of around 50. Okay, so that's the highest. You don't want to go anywhere higher than 50, but obviously for the safety levels, you do not want to go any higher than 30. Okay, because S23 is a very powerful SARM. It is actually listed as one of the most powerful SARMs actually available on the market. Okay, so obviously this is, yeah, it's very selective, but also it does carry a whole bunch of side effects with it. For women, it is anywhere between 5 and 10 milligrams. However, I do not advise women to use S23 for multiple reasons, which we'll go through later. Okay, so so as for the dosage, what is the half-life of S23? So S23 is half-life of 12 hours. Okay, so you take it twice a day. You take it in the morning and you take it in the evening. Okay, so if you're taking it, let's say 8 a.m. in the morning, all right, you then take it 8 p.m. in the evening. Okay, just that's how it works. It's not like most SARMs have like a 24-hour half-life like Ostrine or LGD, but however, S23 obviously it has a much shorter half-life. Obviously, that's when it halves down in the system, and then another 12 hours it halves again. Okay, so it gradually leaves the system through 12 hours each time. Okay, so what are we going to expect? Okay, so this is what we're going to expect from the S23. Now, what you're going to expect is dryness. Okay, so you're going to look dry. And I'm not saying watery, like, you know, if you're taking like an estrogenic compound, all right, that makes you look watery. Okay, no, S23 does not have this. S23 will make you look dry, vascular, okay, muscle hardness. You will have the hardness in the muscle, okay, you will see, you would feel, obviously, your bicep, you would feel your chest, obviously, you feel your quads, and you'll be like, this is hard, okay, it feels decent, it feels like a bone, okay, so that is the sort of feeling you're going to get with S23. You're going to have increased strength. So your strength's not going to go through the roof, like if you're taking, let's say, testosterone or like nandrodecanate, but however, it is strong. Okay, so you are going to increase your, let's say you're benching like 275. It's probably going to push you up to a 300 max. Okay, maybe 315 to the very highest, depending on your genetics, depending on how you react to this compound. But yes, it's not going to push you beyond, but it's going to push you more than practically almost any other SARM. Okay, so just look at it that way. And if you're stacking it, obviously you're going to see more results. All right, increased muscle mass, obviously, because it's a highly anabolic, okay, and not very androgenic whatsoever. Anabolic obviously being muscle growth, androgenic being more manly. Okay, so androgenic causing more like, hair growth, voice, well, basically androgen is what is a part of a man. Okay, so yeah, increased muscle mass. Obviously, what do you expect? Obviously, for muscle mass ranges, I would probably say if this is your first time running S23, probably around about 8 to 10 pounds, to be realistic. But if you're running at your first SARM, which I strongly do not suggest, then I would probably say around 15. But obviously, you're better off going for something a lot milder first, work your way up. It's like running. It's just like running tren. As soon as you start your first anabolic steroid cycle, it is not recommended. You're always best to start with, but obviously the main ones. So like obviously, well, when it comes to the main SARMs, more like Osterine or Andarine or maybe LGD like I did. But obviously, when it comes to S23, it's definitely not a beginner SARM. And then you have got, if you had to compare it to an anabolic steroid, I would probably say the closest match is probably Winstrol. However, it's obviously not going to be as strong as Winstrol, but it's going to have the comparison effects, as I've mentioned, about the dryness to hardness to vascularity, increased strength. Okay, that is all pretty much almost what Winstrol does as well. Okay, so that is going through what we can expect from S23. What are the side effects? Okay, so side effects of S23 can be, well, there's quite a few, to be honest with you, compared to it's selective as well. So aggression, number one. Obviously, that's going to be on the list because it's a strong SARM. Okay, and because it's very mildly estrogenic, no, not estrogenic, sorry, androgenic, it's going to have some side effects. Okay, obviously, not all androgen receptor modulators, as in a selective way, is going to be non-androgenic. It doesn't mean, obviously, it doesn't have any side effects. All right. So it's non-aromatizing, as in it doesn't convert to estrogen. So this is where you'll need a testosterone base, or obviously if you run it without one, you're going to need a PCT for sure. Obviously that comes under testosterone suppression. Okay, so you're going to suppress your HPTA, and you obviously, yeah, so your testosterone depends on how long you run this. If you run this beyond, like, let's say 8 weeks, maybe 12 weeks, you're going to shut your testosterone down, where you could even need a testosterone replacement therapy for years on end until you can gradually bring your test levels back up. So it can dehydrate you. So obviously, because it's a dry compound, because it causes the muscle hardness and it brings down the water retention, this is where you need to drink more water because it acts more like a diuretic. So it's like you drink a massive bunch of caffeine. You have a pre-workout one day, you're drinking more water in the gym. Okay, when you don't have a pre-workout one day, you're drinking less, and that is from the diuretic effect. Okay, it can be hard on the kidneys. Obviously, the kidneys is in charge of like the water, for example. Okay, so obviously, when you're drinking water, you're helping to fill up the kidneys. And if you're losing too much water, it can cause, obviously, over time, it can cause kidney disease or kidney stones, obviously, if you're not good with your water intake. Um, so there's some people, for example, that can take S23, probably stick with their daily 2 liters to 3 liters of water per day, and not be drinking enough, be peeing out more than consuming, not obviously consuming their pee, but obviously drinking water. And yeah, and they could be coming out with bad results of their kidneys. So I do suggest highly that you drink plenty of water, more. Okay, so you say you drink 3 liters a day normally, increase it to 4. And if you still feel dehydrated through parts of the day, then maybe 4.5 to 5 might be more of a suggestion. Okay, unless you've used loads of compounds before and your body's used to diuretic effects, then perhaps go higher. It is low liver toxic, okay, so it's not very liver toxic. It doesn't increase your liver enzymes as much as other SARMs do. Like Osterine, for example, can rise it a bit higher depending if you take a really high dose of it. Obviously, some people can get high liver enzymes. It depends on your liver, really. It depends on the strength, if it takes a lot to break the compound down. But overall, not really many cases of it actually being liver toxic, so you should be okay. But I do advise at least take a milk thistle or a NAC. Okay, so it's N-acetylcysteine. Okay, so it's actually a good liver support that you can use from the beginning. And if you do get liver toxicity over the top of that, use Tugka to reverse the liver toxicity. Okay. All right. And then obviously what we mentioned earlier about women taking S23, it can also cause masculization. Okay, so it can thicken your jaw, make it look more manly. Okay, obviously growing facial hair. All right, it can do that, especially if you're going over the recommended dosage. It can deepen your voice, just like anabolic steroids can, if obviously you're taking it more, like I said, over the dosage. And obviously, when you go for excessive hair growth, it could be anywhere. Also, cholesterol growth, it can happen as well. So you just got to go easy on this one because obviously, if it's known as the most powerful SARM, and especially as the side effects can be quite high, it's not the anabolic that causes it; it's the androgenic side effects. Okay, so you take certain like steroids like Anavar that's highly anabolic but very low androgenic, and that's why women can use it. But yeah, so anything you take too much of, even if it's low androgenic, can cause side effects like androgenic side effects. All right. So, can you take this without food? How can you take it? Well, you can take it with either. Okay, SARMs, you don't need to have it with food. You don't have to have it without. However, if I have to say, if you want it in your system quicker, I would probably suggest to take it without food. It will get through faster. Okay, but if you want to, like, let's say you want to train a bit later on. So if you're taking it, if you're going to train about 3 hours after taking the S23, I'll suggest take the first thing in the morning. But if you're going to take it, if you're going to train like let's say 5 or 6 hours later, take it with food because it breaks it down slower. So, my personal experience, what do I think? So, I have used S23 before. Obviously, I used it back in back over Christmas. Obviously, not the best time to use it because it's drying you, it's making you leaner. Obviously, I was preparing for a show, and obviously, yeah. So, what did I get basically? So, I did gain some muscle over like period of around about 3 weeks. It takes 2 weeks to kick in, so it didn't really take that long. I started seeing the dryness and the hardness within about a week, but I did notice I was getting rather quite aggressive, and I had like a lot of acne, especially like over my shoulders and stuff. Usually around the back, rear delt. Usually get it pretty bad there, not over the face as such. Um, but yeah, I just look really lean. I'll show you a picture here on the side. That is how I looked on S23. So it looked, yeah, I looked pretty good, pretty vascular, very lean. I was a good old 8.5 to 9% solid at that point. Obviously, I came up with my show in April. I'd say, yeah. So when it comes to bulking, I'm not a big fan of bulking up too much. I'm more of a fan of bulking and trying to keep that body fat roughly around the same. So it's like main gaining in a way, but a slight surplus for me. Yeah, main gain doesn't always work. But yeah, so S23, I would definitely say is the most powerful SARM I ever used. By far, I would definitely say. And especially when you stack it, it gets even more advanced. If you have to stack it with any SARM, I would probably suggest stacking it with Osterine, because Osterine plays a good role alongside it as well, especially with the dryness, the muscle gains, okay? Especially as S23 kicks in quick, Osterine kicks in slower. All right, so it works quite well. And if you're running it like for a cutting cycle, I would run it with Cardarine and maybe some MK677 before bed. But if you're running as a bulking cycle, run MK677 in the morning. Okay, so it helps you eat more. But yeah, that's what I put on S23. So here is the supplement I used exactly. I used it for Manic Muscle GTX Elite. Okay, 60 capsules. Obviously, you take 2 of these a day. So yeah, it's a really good supplement. Obviously, it did work. Proof because I used this one and I got the exact results of what you would expect. Obviously, through research and through videos I actually watched. So yes, so thank you for watching the video. Thanks for making time to go all the way through it. We really do appreciate that. Please like and subscribe. Subscribe to our channel. Like this video and comment if you can. Please visit go to our Instagram page at CarterFitness 90. Obviously, we've got our podcast, everything like that. Okay, and yeah, and go obviously check out the Manic Muscle link in the description, and see you in the next one.